So look, guys, this is my conclusion. Once again, here we are. How can I say this? Okay, Young Lions of Israel. What's up there, brother? I think the Wisdom Seeker 77. Yeah, what's up, y'all? Hey, I'm putting y'all out there. No, I'm not. I've really listened to a lot of your videos. And right now, hopefully, you've just got done looking at my new 3-4 part series or whatever. But is the more that I hear you guys come up with these doctrines and things like that, the more I dig into grammatical text and history and things like that, and I come up with these conclusions. And listen, I am not doing this because I'm Christian. Do you understand? I'm not doing this because I'm not a Hebrew Israelite, and a lot of you guys say that well, his mind's already made up, and really the fact is, I've found consistently that the main problem is just our methodologies. I watch you guys' methodology, and I see that you learn it from your teacher, not Wisdom 77. I think he's got his own methodology. It's the same as y'all's, but in terms of first off, the Israelite uniting Christ, you guys use the same method as your teacher, Elder Nathaniel 7, and he can't do what I do, because if he did, then his doctrine would drop. The way that you guys look at scriptures and the way that I look through scriptures are completely different. Let's start with mine first and find out the reason why I was able to do that video and come up with it. I'll basically tell you what I'm doing. This is exactly what I'm doing. Listen up. First off, I don't do necessarily the precept upon precept like you guys do. Maybe I'll do a video on it explaining how the Bible, what it really means. But as far as the little tidbit research that I did right now, don't quote me on it. But I do understand that one of the methods of precept upon precept is supposed to be that the chapters are the lines upon lines. And the here a little, there a little, so the precepts upon precepts are basically the verses. And what you guys did is you guys did the opposite. You're not supposed to take a single verse and then find out some other verse that's saying the same thing and then come to a conclusion that, oh, that's the answer. That's not how you read the Bible, guys. Because if that were the case, then I could basically make that Bible say anything. For example, the Bible say anything. For example, if you watch my John 3:16 series, you guys have already seen that Nathaniel 7 would try to for God so loved the world, right? And where did he look? He looked in the Webster's Dictionary, and it said a whole bunch of definitions, and then there was that one. The only problem is you have to make sure that one is actually lining up with the verse, that the way the verse is using it. And the second problem is that he did not look up what the verse meant in the language that it was written, in Greek, like I did. Instead of just running the Webster's, I said, well, Webster's weren't around thousands of years ago, but no, Greek was, so I looked it up in Greek. And guess what the word was? Cosmos. It meant the material universe, all inhabitants in it, all the moral universe, all that. That's what it meant. Then he jumped to the Old Testament in Isaiah 45. Different chapter, talking about something completely different. And what was so bad was the word was different. And I actually knew it would be different the moment you jumped to the Old Testament, because, Greek, Hebrew, different, And, it said world without end. And obviously for him, he didn't even have to look up the word world, but I did. And what I found in the original Hebrew was a word that I couldn't pronounce. And it meant like something eternal. I remember just that. It kept on saying eternal, something that was forever. And it basically sounded like an age or an eon. Yes, an eon. That was the Greek word for the word eon. But there it was in Hebrew. It was just basically a different saying, but it had the same phrase. It's even into the end of the world. And finally, some newer American translations will try to get real close to the text, and it says, I will be with you, even into the end of the age. So this is the reason why you can't. Do you understand now? This is the reason why you can't use a precept upon precept like that. Just let's take this over here. Let's take the and whosoever. And even for example with you guys, Young Lions of Israel, I was watching a video, and you did that a lot of times. But if I could pick out one that you guys did, it was the one with 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Was talking about now concerning things spiritual, concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would not have you ignorant. So you thought, oh, brethren, he's talking to his brothers, and know that you were Gentiles, and I saw how you guys are trying to connect that. And once again, once you dissect the text and just see what he's talking about, and dissect the words, once again, brethren, it said that was a phrase used literally or figuratively. And I haven't even done it yet. I don't think I have to do it, but anybody can go ahead and not even have to dissect any verses. And they can go ahead and look and see that Paul is calling anybody who loves Jesus his brethren. So, I mean, it just doesn't work. I have not found one thing saying that, or even one, I haven't found one thing in the New Testament saying that Paul was, really talking to these Israelites that he called Gentiles, even though they hated that phrase. And even though if you were a Jew, you were no longer a Gentile, but you were a Jew. So why would they call you a Gentile if you were not a Gentile? And so the text doesn't make sense. So I hope what you're seeing, some of the flaws in, you guys' stuff, because Paul is making distinctions. And this is what we're coming up with in terms of all his distinctions he makes. We can look at 5,700 manuscripts that we have in the New Testament, which is clearly, most of it is written in Greek. Maybe that's just the language of the time that they decided to preach the gospel in, to spread the gospel. And Paul, Timothy, and all the rest speak about all these distinctions. For one, proselytes. I'm watching your video, Young Lions of Israel, that, you guys end up saying that the proselytes were really Jews that were converting back to Judaism. To tell you the truth, if you were to go back in the times of Jesus and try to, convey that to someone, they will look at you like you're crazy. That does not make sense. The text speaks clear of who the proselytes were. There were actual Gentiles that converted to Judaism. Why do we know this? History confirms it. You can read Philo. You can read all these other things that were written around that time, and that's what they are saying. Heathen. I haven't even broken down that word. Heathen and barbarian. You notice in my videos I let those words out. I should have broke down those too. But those are the types of terms that they're calling these people. We have Paul and all the rest calling people proselytes, heathen, barbarians, Gentiles, Jews, Christians, and now my most recent that I found, Grecians. And Grecians are the types of Jews that you guys would love to paint that are in a Gentile state of mind, and they took on the pagan customs of the heathen, and and they lost their ways, and really you go ahead and look up those people who took up on the cultures and customs and things like that, just like I showed in the video, and they were actual Jews that took on the Greek customs, but to do what? So you guys kind of stopped right there. You guys don't like to read the full text of history, because once you do that, your doctrine drops. I started reading about it, and guess what? I found one of the most greatest Greek Jews ever. His name was Philo, and you can look at his works. He turned poetry from the Old Testament. He turned the Old Testament into poetry. So those people that you're talking about saying that they were pagans and they took on the Greek customs, did you ever figure out what they did with those Greek customs? No. Read the history. The definitions in the language, they actually confirm the history of all these things that we're finding out, And then the history confirms all the archaeology, the things that we end up seeing and digging up and seeing where these people lived and where these manuscripts were found and what area and what did they write and these stories here and there. And these are the methodologies that I'm using to, you know, see if what you guys are saying is true. But the only thing I keep on finding is nothing. I keep on finding myth. And everything I keep on finding over here with, you know, the things that I'm coming to conclusion to can be found. But you guys do not like to look beyond the archaic King James Version. Y'all love to just stay right there, you know. Or you guys love to use etymology online. I've seen y'all use that. And you guys love to use Webster's. But I have not seen one Hebrew Israelite use the actual Greek and Hebrew language of what things meant. I have not found one. And to me, that's a problem. It shows that you guys know where to get the truth, but y'all don't want to, because if y'all really start digging, then you'll find that your doctrine drops. For example, you know, I was looking up, for example, you guys say that when it comes to the curses, right? And I can go on I can make a whole series on it. Maybe I will, but I found just one, just for example. You guys say that, you know, when it comes to yokes, and, you know, that one of the curses is, and God's going to put yokes on the people, and they're going to, you know, be taken away and things like that. And you're saying, man, it's not in the Old Testament. You know, see, that happened to our people. And really, not only can I look that up and, you know, find that in just about any culture on the planet, but ironically actually found it in the Bible. So in other words, when God was talking to Israel, those people, that's the people he was talking to. His people. You know, he wasn't going to punish people by punishing their long forgotten or long ancestors coming down the line. No, he's going to punish them. It's in the Bible here. I can just pull it up. If you look up Jeremiah chapter 27 verse 8, it simply says, "And it came to pass that the nation and the kingdom which will not serve the same Nebuchadnezzar as king of Babylon, and that will not put their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon, that nation will I punish, saith the Lord, with the sword and with the famine and with the pestilence, until I have consumed them by his hand." And then finally, in Jeremiah chapter 27, verse 11, it simply says, "But the nations that bring their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon and serve him, those will I let remain in their own land, saith the Lord, and they shall till it and dwell therein." And finally, there was one last verse I wanted to point out in Jeremiah chapter 28, verse 10, and it says, "Then Hananiah the prophet took the yoke from off the prophet Jeremiah's neck and break it." So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that when you guys take these curses and try to put them on a people that come thousands of years later, you know, you're basically trying to say that God did not, you know, really keep his word in saying that he was going to curse his own people there. You know, he was saying, you know, so it just doesn't make sense. You're trying to paint these things like they can't be found in the Bible. Yes, they can. Those things have come to pass. Just like Edom. That has come to pass. You know, in terms of possessing a remnant and things. But yeah, and like I said, I could go on all day from verse by verse, but I'm not going to do that. Maybe I'll make a video on it, but I just wanted to point those few things out.